Hey there, English 102 online students. Welcome to the midpoint of our semester. We're about to enter week 7, so that means we're well into the research process, and you've probably established some pretty solid topics, research topics that you'll be getting more feedback on this week from me. So let's dive into this week's assignments, which are both in Module 4, and will continue with what you started last week. So as usual, you can go to course information and take a look at the course calendar. I've already downloaded that, so we'll take a look at that here together. So in week 6, which we are just wrapping up, you finished up Module 3 and you started in Module 4. And the topics you were looking at were developing and refining research topics and questions. So I know you had lots of commentary and feedback to give each other on your topics this week. I will be working on giving you my feedback this week as you work on the assignments in the rest of Module 4, which is assignments 4.3 and 4.4. So as you see there, they are called the Academic Research Skills Web Quest and Taking Notes from Sources, both of which are due this coming Sunday, October 10th. So going into our Blackboard course, into the modules area, we will go into Module 4, and we are going to scroll all the way down to where it says Academic Research Skills Web Quest. This assignment is set up like a test. It's not actually a test or an exam, but the activities are set up in that format. So if you're wondering about that as you go through the assignment, just be aware that it's basically like a scavenger hunt, or it can be called a web quest, which is an activity where you're going and completing different tasks online in order to kind of educate yourself about a whole topic. So as it tells you here, you'll reflect on the differences between popular and scholarly sources. That's the first thing you'll do in the web quest. You'll learn to evaluate the quality of resources for academic writing, become familiar with library services for students and online courses, and gain experience using a variety of search tools and databases. So this web quest is really meant to take you through everything you need to know to find good information about your research topic, to be able to use the resources our library has for us easily and effectively. And I think it gives you a good way to kind of walk you through how to do all of that. So as it tells you at the bottom, you'll give a brief answer to each question in the web quest. And a note that I do give you there is that you may find it helpful to open the links in the questions in separate tabs by right-clicking on them. So if you see a link to something, rather than click directly on it, which is going to take you out of the web quest and then to that separate link, it's better to open it up in a separate tab, so it kind of saves you some trouble of clicking back and forth. Okay, the activity has unlimited attempts, so you can do it as many times as you want to get correct answers. Some of the answers I will need to give feedback to, and it doesn't have to be completed in one sitting. So you can do some, save it, and come back to it at another time. So I'll click on it just so you can get a sense of what it looks like. You'll just click on Begin to start the activity. And there are just various questions. So like, we saw just a moment ago, you have one here about popular and scholarly sources. You also learn about something called the CRAP test. It's a nice acronym, but it's a way for you to remember the different things you should consider when looking for quality sources on a research topic. You learn a little bit about the research databases, our subject and course guide for English 102. This is going to be really useful to you, not even for this class, but for any other class at Lander or any college you attend where you need to do research. So you will definitely find that useful. There are a number of video tutorials that I'll have you look at as you go through the web quest. And like I was saying, you can go ahead and right-click and just open Link in New tab in order to see these links a little bit more easily. It's not going to take you out of the Blackboard site if you click directly on it. Okay. And here I have you looking for specific databases related to your subject area. For each of these questions, I might ask you to find a source that relates to your research topic. So you'll be learning about the databases, learning about the subject guide for English 102, and kind of collecting sources along the way as you go through the activity. Okay, let's see. Now here you're going to be looking for other databases, collecting a variety of databases where you can do searches. I'll also have you look for a book about your topic, keeping in mind that when you search for a book on your topic, it doesn't mean that you're going to need to read that book all the way from the beginning to the end. You might even just use one chapter or one section of that book. So books are definitely useful sources too, even physical books or ebooks. Okay, I've got a question for you here about Google Scholar. Google Scholar is a really useful tool when looking for different sources on your research topic. You can often find sources in a way that's a little bit different from looking in the databases. You may find things in Google Scholar that you wouldn't necessarily find in a database, but then you can link it back to a database at Lander. Because often something you find on Google Scholar, if you can't get the full text, you can go ahead and find it through Lander's library databases. And this video walks you through how to do that, how to link up your Google Scholar with Lander's databases. So that definitely makes things much easier. Okay, and question 9, the very last one, is about one last database called Films on Demand. So you might find that even some short videos, excerpts of documentaries, that might give you some good resources for your topic too. So this web quest is really meant to give you lots and lots of options when it comes to looking for sources on your topic. Okay, we'll then move on to assignment 4.4. And let's get ourselves back to module 4 here. That'll be the easiest way. Okay, so once you've started to collect sources, let's say you've got some articles, you've got some books that you're interested in, maybe some websites from a general Google search, maybe some articles from Google Scholar. You might have found an interesting video on Films on Demand, even a YouTube video that you found off of Google Scholar or outside of Films on Demand. So let's say you've got your collection of sources. Okay, so the next thing that I want you to learn how to do is how to synthesize research questions and sources. Remember, back in Module 3, you came up with a research topic and you came up with a research question. So you've got at least one research question. But in this research notes assignment, you're going to expand that to 3 questions. So you can add 2 others to your collection. And then you're going to take the sources that you've collected so far and see how they match up with your research questions. So what you're essentially doing is you've got questions and you need to answer those questions. So which of your sources can give you answers to those questions? So let me show you in this second attached document how this assignment will work. So this is an example of a research notes assignment that another student did successfully on the topic of intermittent fasting effects on anxiety and depression. And so this student has 3 research questions. She asked, how does nutrition and sugar affect anxiety? That question is a little on the general side because nutrition is huge. Sugar is a pretty broad topic too. So I guess you could probably try to narrow that down to, a certain type of nutrition or maybe overconsumption of sugar or overconsumption of soda or something like that. But it's a good start. Okay, how does nutrition and sugar affect depression? And finally, how does intermittent fasting affect anxiety and depression? So I think she's got a good start. She could probably narrow these questions down just a tiny bit more, but we're getting started here. Okay, so you'll notice that she has different sources. There are going to be a total of 6 sources in this assignment. There are 3 on the first side of the document and then 3 on the second side. So basically pages 1 and 2. Okay, so on the first side, she has a database article, actually 3 database articles. And when we go to the other side, she's got an article she found on Google Scholar, another one from Google Scholar. So basically 3 and 3. Okay, so you should have at least 6 sources. You can mix them up. You can have some from databases. You can have some from Google Scholar. You could have a book chapter in there. You could have an article that you found in a Google search. You could have a video, a TED Talk. You can mix it up with different kinds of sources. And so what you're doing is comparing your questions to the sources. Okay, so can I answer anything from question 1 with one of these sources? Or can I find an answer to question 2 with one of these sources? So let's look at the first one as an example, research source 1. So you'll notice that she put a quote from research source 1 that gives an answer to research question 1, and another quote from research source 1 that gives an answer to question 2. She didn't put anything for research question 3, and that's because she didn't have information in research source 1 to answer question 3. So you should aim to have about 50% of the boxes filled. You do not have to fill all of them. And you're basically looking at each of your sources and seeing if there's some piece of information in your source that can answer one of those research questions. And what this will help you do later is when you put together your research project at the end of the semester, you're going to have the body of your paper broken up into a problem section and a solution section, and you're going to take the information that you've collected in these boxes and later on in your annotated bibliography, and that's going to help you to put together or have information from outside sources to support your arguments in the body paragraphs of your paper. Okay, so like I said, you're going to come up with 3 research questions. You're going to come up with 6 sources that you found so far in your research, or in the academic research web quest, assignment 4.3 that you're going to be working on before this one. So 6 sources that you've collected from all of those different assignments you've done, and you're going to see how much information you can find from your sources to answer your 3 research questions. And like I said, also, don't feel obligated to fill up every single box, because not every source is going to give you an answer to every question. And you can put quotes in there, you can put paraphrases in there, you can put statistics in there, whatever helps you collect the best information for your research project. And I noticed this student, she used quite a few quotes, which will be useful to her later, and it can also be useful to paraphrase some of that so you don't have to worry about paraphrasing it later too. Okay, so going back to our 2 assignments. So just to sum up, you've got your 4.3 Academic Research Skills web quest, where you're going to be continuing to collect resources, articles, videos, book chapters, ebooks, whatever works best for your topic. And then you're going to be taking those and matching them up with research questions and finding information from those sources that helps to answer those research questions. Okay, so you'll just upload your completed research notes chart to assignment 4.4 right here, and the top document is actually a blank template. So when you open this up, you'll see that you'll be able to put in your own research questions, put in links to your own sources, and then type in your notes in the text boxes that are in each part of the table there. And you'll just upload your completed version when you're all finished. Okay, so it's just those 2 assignments for this week. I think that will be plenty to keep you busy. You're really going to dig into finding sources on your topic this week. I look forward to seeing what you come up with. Any questions, concerns that you have, please let me know, and I'll be glad to answer them or walk you through the assignment in a clearer way. And I wish you the best of luck this week. Bye-bye.